Okay. Well,
Are you ready?
I guess.
Core, lower back.
I mean core. Who
core?
doesn't want
Yeah,
it there?
Okay. Yeah, perfect. But
this is my abs for free method.
Exactly. You don't even have to work out now. Well, I mean, you already did today, but.
Yeah. Okay.
Give me some tests. Give me some tests.
Testing. Is that good?
Yeah, it sounds great.
That was my dream in life.
Is what?
Was to be on ESPN sports announcer.
Perfect.
No, that goal's gone. No, I'm an introvert.
I'm bringing that up right away.
No.
What makes you who you are?
Yeah.
What's the price for paradise?
There's a price to be paid. That's for sure.
And today, what's the price to be Hannah? All right, and welcome back to the Price for Paradise. My name's Woody, aka Creston Woods, and with me today we have my running friend and ultra marathon buddy, Hannah Howerter.
Yes, I'm
what's
excited
going
to
on?
be here. Thank
Yes,
you.
and did I say the last name right? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
you did.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
it's a tough one, but you did. You did good.
All right, so me and Hannah, we just came off of a 50K not too long ago. She's also been in my High Rocks Club training with me. She's a super athlete, one of the most badass chicks I know, for sure. And she will undersell herself, but she took like 4th place in her 50 miler.
Yes, yeah.
Unbelievable. And so, yeah, no, she's a beast, 130 pounds, but don't watch out because she means business.
Yes,
and so tell me a little bit about you. What got you into the long distance running and all of that?
Yeah, I actually just got into long distance running last year. So
she's only been doing this for a year. She did a 50 mile or 50K.
Yeah. My
crazy.
50 miler was my first ultra marathon. I actually had never ran a just regular marathon.
Never ran a
never
sanctioned
competed
marathon. Never
in a
did
marathon.
anything.
But I'm definitely like an all-in person. So I knew I wanted to do something really big, and my health and fitness transformation has just been ongoing for many years. And I knew last year was the year I just needed to do it. So I was like, okay, let's find a friend. Let's go all in and let's do a 50 miler. So I actually started with that. And it was amazing. It was like the most amazing experience, externally, physically, internally, spiritually. And now, obviously, then we did the 50K this year. I'm just going to keep going from there. I'm going to do a 100 miler. So
Oh my gosh.
we'll just continue to go all in as I did last year. So
I love it. So tell me, like, when you first started getting into this, like you said, 50 miler was on, like what made you decide 50 miler, the one you did, and what was that?
Yeah.
Like, where'd that come from?
So I usually always do like one big thing a year over the last several years. And so I've always previously done 75 hard around the end of the year, just kind of reset my mind, push my body to the next limit, etc. So this past year, I know that me and some of my friends, we've been going back and forth on, okay, what's going to be the one big thing? What are we going to do? And it's more fun when you have friends. So my friend Quinn was like, hey, I'm interested in doing this. He had attempted one a couple years ago. So we got to looking at different options. And then one night at like 10 p.m. on a Saturday, he was like, should we do this one? Are you all in? I was like, yeah, I'm all in. Let's go. So we found, just on the website, we found one that had pretty rad elevation gain, I would say. But we decided we're both very much all in type of people. Like if we're going to do it, we might as well go as hard as possible.
And you had elevation gain. I'm pretty sure it was in Flagstaff too.
Yeah, Flagstaff.
At elevation too.
Elevation, yeah.
On top of elevation gain.
Yeah, so I think it's like a little over 6,000 feet elevation gain. And then the peak, I don't know where we were at with the peak on that. I was just so dialed in and focused by the time we got there. But it was awesome. I highly recommend that even if someone doesn't do a 50 miler or plus, I think everyone should run an ultra marathon in their life because you're on the trails, you're out in the open, you're in nature. It just is different than a regular marathon. So I recommend everyone should do one.
As someone who's done a regular marathon, because she still hasn't, road marathons are worse than like trail, like 50Ks, honestly. I thought it was more enjoyable and better on my body to just be on trails. Like, I think the road is so hard on the knees and the joints and stuff like that. And Yeah, just being out in nature and being out there in the ultras and I think it's more accessible than people give it credit for. Like you can walk
Absolutely.
places, you can, you're not just sprinting the whole time unless you're Hannah and you're trying to take top 5
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, you can walk a ton, and I think people don't understand that. You do walk because
you have
the
to. There's
incline
no
is
other way.
insane.
Yeah.
So most people do. I think it's definitely achievable by many. I think it's underrated, but it seems like more and more people are getting into that. But it's definitely if you want to be alone, then you should do an ultra marathon because you're in your head and you're alone versus a marathon. You're around so many people. You have, fans and family on the side and yelling for you.
Like
And it's
super
very
high,
interactive. Yeah,
energy
high
place.
energy.
Yeah.
And this is the complete opposite, which I thrive in that environment. And so I think, if you're open to digging deep and just being with yourself, then it's for you, for sure.
All right, so take me through some of the trials and tribulations it took, like on your 50 miler, like how it wrapped up. Did you like stay long at the aid stations? Like what happened during like the race story? Because I know there's always a story and there's always, stuff behind it. So tell me a little bit about the 50 miler and then we'll get into our 50K next.
Yeah. It's funny because you watch, the influencers and runners on Instagram, and every race they do, there's something that happens, like a storm, and you're like, oh my goodness, this really happens? Well, it happens, I think, all the time.
I think there's no race without adversity.
Yeah,
like I don't think
yeah.
that's like a part of the part. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a hailstorm during the 50 miler. Crazy towards the end.
Hail?
Yeah. And I was not prepared, to say the least. The last station that you could have friends and family at, I dropped everything off. I dropped my jacket off. Keep in mind, this is my
The
first
last station? When you need fuel and when you need stuff, you're crazy.
It was warm. I'm like, I'm taking my jacket off.
Okay.
We're good. And so I really didn't have anything, and I didn't have a drop bag because this is my first ultra. So I didn't know
Drop bags were even a
drop
thing.
bags were a thing. I didn't know the purpose of them. So I'm just going in the middle of nowhere. And I think it was near mile 40 that the hailstorm hit. And
Oh my gosh.
I have never been so scared because you're in the middle of nowhere. And I was soaking wet. My phone was soaking wet. I ended up taking my water pack and just putting it over my head so then the hail wouldn't hit me.
Oh my
But in Flagstaff, obviously, it's very cold. So the temperature dropped. It had to have dropped at least 28 degrees within
right away,
minutes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was freezing. And thankfully, another guy was coming up behind me. And my thought was, well, I could, pull over and just sit under a rock or sit under a tree, something like that, because I was assuming most people were doing that at the time. But it was so cold that I was like, if I stop now, I'm probably not going to be able to continue to go.
Starting to tighten up and starting.
Yes.
Yeah, you're at mile 40. Like this is like your body's not even supposed to go this far already. So,
Yeah. So I was like, just push through. And then the guy behind me, he actually told me, he's like, hey, there's an aid station a little over a mile away. Like, let's just keep going to there.
Yeah.
So he was prepared. He was very prepared. Great guy. I was so thankful for him. So I just kind of followed him into the next aid station, which I think was like the second to last aid station of the race. And the people were so kind. They were like, this is your first race and this is what's going on. And I said, yes. I was like, I was not expecting this. But they were so sweet, offered me fresh socks, hand warmers, all the things to keep me going, hot chocolate. So I did all of that. I stayed for probably about 5 more minutes. And then, at that point when you're so close to being done, I was just like,
let's go.
I gotta go. Like, I just want to go. I already knew that I had dropped from 3rd to 4th place and I was a little disappointed in myself. So I was like, I just need to finish. And so I took off with my hand warmers. And by the time I got to the end of the race, I was dry because the sun came back out and it was great. So, adversity is always there, but going through it was, not many people can say their first ultra, they experienced that. But then it just sets you up for success ultra after ultra after that. So
how many hours
crazy.
did it take you to do the 50 miles?
It was 10 hours and like 41 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
I think
On
that's
the
what it came
legs,
out
just
to.
constant movement.
Yeah. I really didn't stop at the aid stations for very long because I had set a goal for myself of where I wanted to end. And I actually wanted to end in sub 10, but at the aid stations, I really just grabbed everything I needed. I changed what I needed to, got more water, but I didn't really stay hanging out for very long. But again, it's a 50 miler. I think if it's longer than that, it's a little bit different of a scenario, but there was competitors out there. People were running really fast.
Yeah.
So it makes you want to keep going.
It shows you what the human potential is. And so when you see that someone else can do it and you're like, they're not that much fitter than me. And then you start to get it, turn it in your head that like, oh, I can do this too.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after, mile 30, I would say when mile 30 hits, it's your brain just switches and it's like you go into a different mode. And so, there's that space that you can't even explain, but it happens and it just propels you forward. So it was amazing. Yeah.
I love it. And then you decided, hey, now we got to do another one and she heard that I was doing a 50K at our High Rocks Club. And she's like, hey, I'm going to join you. And I was like, please do. Like, let's the more the merrier. And it was great.
It was great.
The McDowell Mountain Frenzy was the one that we did together. And that was my first ultra marathon. Amazing. I'm glad I got to, be a part of the club.
Yes. Yeah.
Me and Hannah ran together for the first mile. Then I let her go. She took 8th place. She's really mad at me because I kept saying 9th, but she took 8th place in this race. Yeah. So, and still disappointed she is, even though that's amazing. Never satisfied this girl. And so tell us about your 50K experience and how to go.
That was great. I was so excited when you said you were running one because I still am kind of at a point where I want to know some people at the races. So I was like, yes, I'm all in. Let's do it. Great way to end the year. Plus, I knew it would just set me up for success for my goals for 2026. So that was super exciting. I think that one, the actual terrain was great for someone's first ultra marathon.
Yeah,
it was
awesome.
Beautiful course. The elevation gain wasn't insane. I can't remember what it was.
And the desert's so green now, and so it looked beautiful out there and gorgeous weather. Like, couldn't have asked for a better day.
No, it was awesome. It was chilly in the morning, and then obviously by the end, it was so
once
hot.
You're running, who cares?
So it was great. I thought that the aid stations too, with just how it was prepared, was awesome. Everyone is so kind, which is one of the best things about ultra running. But I thought that went really well, at least to start off. There was a lot of people in that race, so we actually started in wave 2.
Yeah, and we're zigzagging so many people in and out.
Mistake. Always started in wave 1. So we should have started in wave 1. But we caught up to people and just, having to navigate on a small trail, how to get around everyone. And then I feel like by mile 20 maybe, that's where it really got hard, maybe a little bit before that.
Yeah, like 19, 20, 21, there was that hill or mountain that it started, incline started going up, and people are like, oh, there's a mountain at mile 20, and then it ended up being like a 3-mile mountain.
Then it was just, continuous from there. So that was rough. I think, every ultra, every race, no matter what you do, if you're a hybrid athlete or ultra marathon runner, you just have to learn at every race different things to make yourself better because there's always something that's going to come up.
Definitely.
Like that one for me was definitely the fueling. You fuel a lot better than me.
Me and Hannah are also two different bodies. She weighs 130 pounds and I weigh 200 pounds. And so like what we need carb wise and what we need salt wise is much different.
I struggle to eat anything actually when I'm running. So I took Woody's advice and I was going to try, to be better because I think that I would run way better in the long run. And also just at the end of the race,
you can push harder. Yeah.
I would be in a better position. And so I just made the mistake of not practicing. So I should have practiced my fueling efforts before. So there was some issues. And I definitely threw up a couple of times there and fell and cut my hand open, and the end of the race was quite the experience. So
hey, but you finished and you still took 8th. So like even with a little spill and a couple throw ups, still
made it.
But did you throw up during the race or after?
During. It was nice. There was only like 3 miles left. So at that point I was like, just keep going.
And question, did you throw up because you were pushing your tank too hard, or like your heart rate, or what? Like you just
no, all fueling. I think
all fueling,
the fueling just
the gut?
it didn't go well. And then at the aid stations, I was grabbing. It was my first time ever drinking Coca-Cola at the aid stations, and I was grabbing some other things. Then I had pickles, and then the gels. And I think just all of that combined, my body's like, "You've never done this to me before. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And it ended up getting really hot. And so I think just overall, the combination wasn't great for me. So I know now what I'm going to do next time, what I'm going to take in my pack, what I'm going to take at the aid stations.
And what we're going to take in training.
Yeah. And training efforts are definitely shifting. They have to. So that was fun. But it ended up being really great. I mean, you and your friends finished shortly after me, and
Yeah.
I felt like it was a very fun environment.
Shortly after, meaning an hour. But
That's not that bad. That's
but
not
hey,
bad.
I'm good. I'm happy with my time. I was just trying to finish. And so me and Fiji, so Fiji was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, actually.
Oh, nice.
And
okay.
so the viewers already know Fiji. Me and Fiji went out on our race, and I tried to stay with Hannah for like a mile or two, but she's very fast and very light. So, and I'm carrying around like way too many snacks.
A lot.
It was a heavy pack.
Yeah.
But very needed, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Because I think that this race I did the fueling right. That was in past races, I have had the fueling problem as well. In Ironmans, I've cramped up and fell off my bike, fell off, on the middle of a marathon. Like it happens all the time. But this time, that was the whole intention, was to nail fueling, and I did it. And it made the biggest difference at the end of the race. Not necessarily like, I honestly kind of felt slow in the beginning, but I think towards the end of the race, the comfortability at mile 26 to 30, I was like, I feel like I'm still good to run.
Yeah.
Now mile 31 hits or whatever, that last mile, and they start to throw hills
You're
at
like,
us.
I'm
And
ready.
you're like, we already ran 30 miles. I get it.
Yeah.
But and then the cool thing about my race was that me and Fiji, we were running with each other at mile 14, and I lost him. And I didn't see him for 2 more hours. And then all of a sudden, 200 meters towards the end of the race, I turn around and my friend Fiji is right behind me, clomping right behind me, and we catch up and cross the finish line together.
Yeah.
And so then I got to finish another ultra with Fiji. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And so shout out to that guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And such a dog every time.
That was so fun, and I loved hearing that. I think you did do it right, because even coming out of the ultra, I remember by Tuesday, you weren't really needing to recover that much.
Yeah, we were like working
you
out the
were
week of.
basically fine.
Mhm.
Which I feel like is a sign that you definitely did it right, and you prepped for it. So
Yeah, and so tell me a little bit about like how you trained in the process of like getting ready for these, right? So I know you trained way harder for the 50 miler than you did the 50K. So give us like a little bit of like what it takes in like a training bout for an ultra marathon.
Yeah, I think everyone's training is different. So I didn't hire a coach or anything. I just did my own research online. There's so many resources out there. So I just really focus on cutting back on my weight training and just putting miles in. So it's really that simple. I think if you just continue to stack miles, you're going to get better. Like my speed increased significantly over a period of time just by putting in more miles.
And it's not about speed of those miles either, right?
Correct.
Like it's just getting in general miles a week, guys. And so that's like a big part of it. Yes, sometimes we do run fast, sometimes we do speed work, and sometimes we do long work, but a lot of times it's just about the amount of miles is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. And then cutting back on like the weight I was lifting at the gym. I, always would want to go in and I'd want to lift heavy on the days that I was lifting and not running. And then I realized like, no, let's go to a moderate weight. And let's just focus on the movement to make sure that obviously my joints and everything are healing. The mobility is there. So I focused a lot on that. It wasn't perfect by any means. I was still in pain. I was still sore. And going into the race, my hip was hurting really bad. But
I know you came in and saw me like
yeah,
right before. Like,
I was
not
like,
too
I
long
need a
before.
treatment now. And I like slept with a patch on the night before and everything. But eventually that just goes out of your mind when you start running. So, yeah, I think just getting a ton of miles in, I would look at what other people were doing. And obviously, you have to ramp up. You can't just go out and in the first week run 100 miles in one
No,
week.
no, no,
You'll
no, no,
never
no.
be
You
able
can,
to recover from that.
guys, good rule of thumb, like increasing 10% a week is a really good rule. Like if now depends on where you're at in your training
Yeah.
scheme, but like if you want to not get, you run 20 miles a week, then the next week you can run 22, or like 24, but nothing too much more than that, or else you're going to get joint injuries or like, your body's just not going to be prepared for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't remember what I started off with in the first month. It was definitely not like 50 to 80 mile weeks. I'll tell you that. But I track it all on just pen and paper on a calendar, and I would plan out the whole month. So I'd like set a goal for, how many 10-mile runs did I want to hit that month? How many 20-mile runs did I want to hit that month? How many strength days did I want to do? So that's kind of how I planned it. I would set the expectation for the longer runs and strength, and then I would go in and fill in the gaps with maybe shorter runs, zone 2 runs. I'm not the best at those, but I try.
And walk in the treadmill, right? Like,
Yes,
and so
yeah.
like a lot of like zone 2 is just kind of come from your walks, your incline walks or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would just do that. And then month over month, I think I trained for about 4.5, 5 months going into the 50 miler. Month over month, I just always increased that.
What was your peak month of or peak week of miles? Like, what'd that end up looking like?
Yeah, I think my peak week was like 100 miles.
100 miles in 1 week.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did
And
you
that
do
was-
that? Like a
that was
20 miler,
tiring.
a 10 miler,
Yeah, it was tough because the race was in September. So my training blocks and all that were in the summer months here. And I'm running outside. I'm not running inside on a treadmill. So it was difficult.
gross.
But your VO2 levels, they
they
become
skyrocket,
superior.
yeah.
So it's okay. But yeah, I just start super early in the morning. I mean, it gets bright in the summer here, decent time. So I would, be up running at 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning at the latest, I would say, and just try to stack as many miles as possible. I work East Coast hours, so it was a little difficult, but I would try to get in at least 10 in the mornings, sometimes a little less than that, depending on the day. And then
Sheesh.
just save your long runs for the weekend. If you work a normal, job,
Yeah,
you
right.
just save it for the weekend and you spend the whole weekend running and you get up super early and you don't get a sleep in, and that's what it is. But I think it was 100% worth it. I actually wouldn't tweak my training schedule that much. Obviously, going into a 100 miler, I'm going to expand upon it. But I think it was really great just figuring out exactly how many long distance runs versus short runs that I wanted to do.
So now you have a good baseline going into the next. And
Yeah. So that's really what I did. It wasn't anything crazy. Just wrote it down, stuck to it.
How was your body composition when you started training and when you ended training? Because when you
Yeah.
get ultra marathon ready, you start to look lean and mean and ready to go.
Yeah, it was definitely significant change, which I wasn't really expecting all of that. I wasn't focused on that. It just became
It just
what
happens as a
was.
byproduct. Yeah.
I don't even know really my weight beforehand because I didn't own a scale. I was probably between 135, 140. I don't know. And now I'm 122 or something like that. But the body fat percentage, that's one thing I noticed is I think I was, in the 24 to 25% body fat percentage at the time. And then when we just did my BMI not that
now
long
you're,
ago, I was 17%.
Very low. Yeah.
So my body comp drastically changed. I leaned out a ton, even though I was eating actually probably more than
Way
I was.
more. Yeah.
But it became very defined, which is really what I wanted. And my goals were to become super
That's what
defined.
she wanted to do when she was lifting, and then she got him doing ultra marathon.
Yeah. My mom's like, do not lose any more weight. But I always say the muscle mass and everything and my body comp, it is healthy. And so that's what matters. And that's why I don't really look at the scale that much. But it changed drastically. And so now looking back on what I was doing previously with training before ultra running, I'm like, wow, I really should have just changed up what I was doing at the time, ran a little bit more. And even if it's easy runs, again, I just think that if you're looking to tone up and lean out, you do have to incorporate some type of cardio. And so it was drastic change. And now I'm kind of hoping it
Yeah.
stays that way.
And I mean, you can read it in a book, and you can like someone can tell you on Instagram about like how to get fit and do all these things, but like the experience and like learning it in your own head and like
Yeah.
feeling it happen and change. I
Yeah.
mean, like that's the best experience
Oh, yeah.
to learn from, and like to now you have a better perspective on health.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. And I think, thinking a few years back, I was so focused on my body composition, and that was like my why. And then you start to move beyond that. And now I run for so many different reasons. My mind is thinking so many different things than just like how I'm going to look when I'm running now
Yeah,
and when I'm working out.
Yeah, and the aesthetic
So,
why I think is the problem for a lot of people is they try
yeah.
to do it for an aesthetic why, and like
Hmm.
if you do it for otherwise, the aesthetic why just comes. Like you don't have to
Yes.
worry about that one.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing all of the work, you will be fine with how you look
Yeah.
on the outside. I promise.
Yeah. And if that's your reason at the beginning, think that's completely fine. That's normal.
Yeah, it's not
But
bad.
you just have to know you're playing the long game. It's not immediate. And that's what I always tell everyone. It's like, I didn't think 3-4 years ago when I was at a weight I didn't want to be at and I was so insecure. I didn't think that I would be here now. But you just have to know that you're playing the long game. Like you have to do
Mhm.
it. You have to take the initiative because maybe you do want to look a certain way, but eventually that all subsides once you've put in enough work and you're doing it for a completely different reason.
Yeah, and like once you get to that body comp goal, like
Hmm.
what next? Like you need
Yep.
other reasons to keep going in the training, like something, especially to maintain it. Like if you want to continue this lifestyle, like you got to continue
Yeah.
doing hard things and continuing that. And that has, I mean, your body composition is going to go
Yeah.
however it goes throughout this whole thing, right? And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you got to just trust the process.
Yeah, and every goal obviously requires you to be at a certain level. So, in 2026, I can pursue way different goals because I've gotten to this level. So, I just think at each different place that you're at, you're able to push even harder once you know that you've achieved that. So, it
Before
never
we go
ends.
to 2026, I want to see your visions. But before that, let's talk about like
Yeah.
your past history. So, like, what makes you like have this athletic mindset? And
Yeah.
were you an athlete prior? And what's that all about?
Yeah, yeah. I grew up doing almost every single sport out there. I grew up with all brothers. I don't have sisters, so it was very
Oh, okay, that makes
competitive,
sense.
very sports oriented. I played like everything. I think my parents were like, "Well, let's just put them in these sports, see what they end up really liking." There was never a massive push like you had to do one thing. Um, I mean, all my brothers they excelled in different areas, and then I also excelled in different areas. So that was great. I absolutely loved that. I think there was so many sports that I loved, but I knew as I got older, I had to kind of dial in on a specific
Yeah.
one if I really wanted to be great at something. Or your heart just like grows towards one, and that's what it is.
But no, you're not wrong. Like if your hands are in too many baskets, you're spreading
Yeah.
yourself too thin, and you can't focus on something, or you can't give it your
Yeah.
all, right?
Yeah. Even in adult life, that's how it is. So
Yeah.
I'm so blessed for that. I'm so grateful that my parents, forced me to do all of those sports, even though when I hated some of them.
Yeah.
But yes, so that just growing up, that's what I was always doing. I was always on the go. I was never inside. I was always busy. And then just kind of found my niche and what I was good at. I was good at both soccer and cheerleading and dance, but my heart and everything was in cheerleading. So I decided just to jump all in and focus on competitive cheerleading
Yeah.
and dance, and then did it through high school as well. So that kept me super busy.
And you're in like
Um,
the competitive cheerleading, right? You go like to events and you guys show off different stuff.
Mhm.
It's not just like on the sidelines of a football game.
Yeah, no,
But you
that's
did that
fun
too.
too.
I was
But
saying you did that
yeah,
too, right?
yeah,
But
yeah. There's the whole other world of competing and all of that. So yeah, we traveled to worlds, traveled all over the country. Such an amazing experience with a sport if you're able to do that. I feel like there's just so much that you can learn from traveling and meeting other organizations or people and learn from them, and it just helps you get better. So yeah, we traveled around, we did all of that. Unfortunately, I was recruited in high school to also join the pole vaulting team and the dive team because they
wow.
wanted cheerleaders or gymnasts, and my parents were like, yes, you have to do it. So
you did pole vaulting?
well, I did it. And then after I think it was 2-3 weeks of training and then having to do the cheerleading aspect on top of it, I was like, Mom, I cannot do this anymore.
It's
I can only
too
do
much.
one right
Yeah.
now. It's too much on my body. And I obviously wasn't sleeping. I was in high school and just, not sleeping at all. And so eventually my parents let me quit, but that took a lot of crying and talking to them about that because they're very firm from a very young age. Like, you see things through. You don't quit.
You're a finisher.
You committed to do this and you can't let the team down. It's always been very team oriented in my family. And so, thankfully I got out of that, but then continued on in my cheerleading journey and decided then to try out for collegiate cheerleading after high school and had the opportunity to do that at two massive universities. So that was amazing. But
Which two?
The University of Louisville in Kentucky. So I did their program there at the university, and then we also did All-Star on top of that. So I got to continue that journey, which was really fun. And then I ended up transferring to the University of Nebraska and then cheered at their program for a year. And it was actually the first year that they brought back their competitive nature inside of, stunting, tumbling, and all of that. So that was super cool to be a part of that. But that's really how it kind of began from the beginning. Going to now it's always been the athletic side. I've always been, I would say, hyper involved in sports. And then just kind of figuring out, when you stop that or when that ends after college, everyone talks about that. And it's very difficult. And so you have to figure out, like, what are you going to do? And I think that's where I went through a lull and then found, where I can excel.
It's like the athlete's journey every time. And every time I bring a new athlete on, it's like the post baseball depression or the post cheerleading depression or like, and then you have to find yourself again.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what's your new why and what's your new, thing that is your identity.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was like the freedom. Because growing up, I didn't feel like I had the freedom other kids had because I was always having to abide by certain rules and standards and expectations. And
Your schedule was filled.
yeah, and cheering at a university, there's, certain standards that you're held to. And I agree with those. But it's like you exit that and life is drastically different.
And sometimes it's nice to take a little bit
Yeah,
of weight
yeah.
off your shoulders, the breath, like, and just, chill out for a second.
Yeah. But then you realize if you're a true athlete, you want
It
that
was more
back.
fun. It was
Yeah,
more fun
yeah.
than being lazy and like doing nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I am there for anyone who obviously is experiencing that or has experienced that. But it doesn't have to end there. And that's what I'm realizing now is like, I am so blessed to have a body that's equipped to do really hard things. And you can just change and pivot what you're doing and go into a different type of sport. It doesn't have to stop, at a certain age. And I find so much value in that.
I also think you don't have to be elite, even though Hannah is elite at what she does now. I think that just doing any sport to get that competitive like feel out is needed. Like when I go play golf with my friends, like I feel refreshed because we were like neck and neck for a couple hours where we're, battling it out. And I finally, like I take a win or something. And then I feel like I got that itch scratched that I've been missing since I was a competitive athlete and something like that. So you still need those things in life. No, you don't have to do, elite competitions or like do an ultra marathon. I mean, I recommend it, but it doesn't have to be that.
No, I agree. I think people should experience that. I think it's healthy. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I know people might say differently, but I think having a competitive edge is great. And I think having friends who want to compete with you, it just makes it more fun.
What do you say to the people that say running is bad for your knees?
Oh, okay.
Okay, guys.
Are you sitting on a couch right now?
Yeah. Did you just run 20 miles after doing nothing? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, no, our bodies are made for so much more than what we allow them to do.
Guys, like, to be fair, running long distance is actually probably human beings, one of their best skills. Is not other animals and other mammals cannot self-cool themselves like we can do, and we can run much farther than a lot of animals. A lot of them are faster than us, for sure, but we can outrun them.
Out.
Yeah, and they die out, and they can't. They need breaks. They need to, get the heat off. we can cool and we can go for hundreds of miles. And so,
Yeah. I mean, you always think back to like when cars weren't invented yet and all of that. Like people were walking hundreds of miles to get from one destination to the next over many, many days and all of that. But still, I just think I always go back to this when my body is hurting is it's actually able and equipped to do so much more than what someone might tell me if they're telling me to take a break or what I might think because we've pushed those limits of thinking that we aren't going to be able to make it. But really, that's just your mind telling you you can't do this anymore. Your body can keep going. It's crazy. I still feel like I haven't hit my peak of what my body can actually exert and do. And so I think it's one of the most awesome things to be someone who pushes those limits because, God gave us this body. And I think that we become too complacent, sedentary, all of that stuff. And we forget what our bodies are meant to do.
And what they can do, what they're capable of. Like I say this every podcast. I lost in an Ironman by an hour to an 80-year-old woman that she is such a badass. And but like the amount of like old people that are in these races that make you like look forward to like your future as like an athlete and stuff like that, because it's so amazing to see people that like still can scratch that itch when they're 70, 80 years old, like, and they're still doing these things. It's crazy. It's amazing.
It's inspiring. It's amazing. I have also been in that position before and I'm like, oh my goodness, I have a long ways to go. But yeah, I think I was thinking about that last night is the journey. It's all about the journey. It's not necessarily the end of the race, accomplishing the goal. And those people are just examples of, I think they fell in love with the journey and they realized the journey is where you find the happiness, the peace, the joy. And so that's why they keep doing it. And they keep going all the way through. I mean, there's people running ultras that are, 80, 90 years old. And so I think just remembering that the journey is really the best part of all of it.
It's not about the buckle at the end.
No.
It's about who you become in the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is.
And most people find that once they finish the race, they're like, wait, it was really fun training for this. And that journey was awesome. And now
all
it's
the people
done.
I met and all the people that have come into my life because of this. And so,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it is just, it's amazing that I even got to meet you through this, right?
I know.
And so shout out to my friend Lexi, who is my High Rocks partner. And speaking of future things coming up, next week, me and Hannah are both competing in the Phoenix High Rocks. And so
we are. Let's go.
High Rocks stands for hybrid rock star.
Does it?
Which I think that's what it's. I think
Oh,
what
really?
it actually stands for, and I'm like kind of cringy name, but
Yeah.
High Rocks sounds way cooler.
Yeah. If that is the case, that's actually super awesome. I had no idea. I'm like, where did this name come from?
Yeah, someone asked me, "Is like, are you climbing? Are you bouldering? Is it High Rocks?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. It has no climbing. No, it's really like all lower body. So,
Yeah.
But
So
she's
exciting.
a part of our High Rocks club. So let's talk a little bit about like High Rocks training and what we've been doing this past 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah. So switching from a 50K to High Rocks is very different.
Yeah, this
we're
is like
hybrid.
the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, we're hybrid athletes. I guess there is a lot of running in it. From what we're learning is you got to make sure your cardio is spectacular for High Rocks.
I think that's kind of our best thing to
come out
going into is to come out of marathon running, and then going into High Rocks, like the runs are easy compared to the distance.
I agree with that. So I'm super excited for that. Obviously, we're competing against each other,
Yeah,
so only the best will win. So it's okay. I feel like I'm going to win this, but it's okay.
We'll see how our partners fare.
Yeah,
that is me and Hannah yelling at each other from across the High Rocks room as our partners are like, running winded behind us.
So, but that's been super fun. I mean, Lexi introduced us. We began just running, and I can't remember why. She was training, I think, for a half marathon. I was training for the ultra. I can't remember. I think you were just joining, maybe to join. I don't know.
I mean, I trained with the half marathon with her. I did, this is what I do. I train people for their events, and then this is like a lifestyle.
Yeah,
so
it
I
is
love
your lifestyle. So that's great. And then obviously introducing the High Rocks Club, I think was so beneficial because we didn't know how many people would show up. We didn't know, who is partaking in it.
Yeah,
but
it is
massive
big.
turnout. It's been super fun. I do think if we wouldn't have done that, I would not feel prepared for high rocks at all because
Yeah.
you know,
Once
you
you've
can
done a
watch
sim,
all the
yeah.
videos online and it's not the same. You got to go out there. You got to actually run multiple times a week. A simulation essentially is what we are doing, not to the full extent, but I would say that that's been probably the most beneficial is actually doing the exercises that are in it and not just going and like strength training and doing things like that, but actually doing the wall balls and the sled push and that. But I think we've been training for what, 2 months, 3 months?
2-3 months,
Okay.
yeah,
I was like, I can't
in a row.
remember.
It was kind of crossover with our 50K training.
Yeah.
So what the High Rocks is, guys, is we're just gonna go over the event real quick. So you run 1 kilometer to start it off. You start off with the ski erg, which is this giant cardio row machine, and then after you come off the ski erg, you run another kilometer. And so between each exercise, you run a kilometer.
Yep.
And then the other exercises we have are sled push, sled pull, walking lunges with a sandbag. We have burpee broad jumps, the rower,
Wall balls.
wall balls,
That's at the end.
and
I think that's all of them.
that might be it. But yeah, so there's 8 events, and if you between each event you run 1 kilometer, it ends up being 5 miles at the end of the race, a little over because of transitions and a couple other stuff. But yeah, it takes about around an hour or so.
Over,
So we did a simulation. Me and Lexi, we did our simulation at an hour 10, and we did it a couple days before Hannah, so she could see our time, and she finished hers in 1:08.
108.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be a tight race on race day, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is because obviously the adrenaline and everything. We're gonna be really pushing to beat the 108 that we got on the simulation. But I'm excited. I think my goals for the event, I was aiming way too low because for 2026, I was like, yeah, mixed doubles. I want to finish in less than 115. And then we did the simulation. I'm
And
like,
we did 110, and we're like, oh,
yeah. I'm like, wait, we're below
this is
110.
doable.
And so I need to go back and reevaluate that. So
I'm more elite than I thought.
yeah. We'll have to sign up for another one later this year and fly to wherever it's located. But that's been super fun, just kind of changing up.
How do
the
you like it
training.
compared to like the long endurance? Because this is like short, fast endurance versus long endurance, right?
Yeah. I love both. I think I like splitting things up. You know, if I'm just ultra training all year long, I would find that to be a little bit difficult. I like to challenge myself in different ways. So this has been really great. I think I'll be able to answer that better after the race.
Yeah, we got to
and
do an
Be
event.
like, I heard the environment's super fun. I'm excited to meet people. So I don't know. We'll see. I feel like after the first one, I'll probably want to fly out and go and attend another one because it seems like that's what most people are doing. So we'll see what comes out on top. High rocks, hybrid stuff, or ultra running.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, no, which one?
I'll stick
catches
to
the
both
attention
as long
more?
as I can.
And so what's and then you're planning on a 100-miler. And so when are you going to plan on doing that? And like how long is going to be the training process after?
Yeah, so that's going to be in September again. It's a great time of year, so I'm excited for that. I will probably start training in February and March. Like I'll probably just
finish High Rocks and game on. Like, you know,
getting back into something is so difficult. So I'd rather just continue on.
Especially with
there.
a long runway. I think you need a long runway when it's that long of a race too.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just as much as like an Ironman or something, like you definitely need more months than a half marathon it would take to prepare for.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll probably just start right back up and go into that in February or March. Obviously, I'm forcing you to pace me at that race.
Yes.
I am going to have pacers because I don't want to run it at night by myself, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So this will be exciting. I'll probably force my pacers to run with me throughout my training block a little bit just to see where they're at too. Because I definitely want you to be like,
I'll give you exactly what number you need.
Yeah.
Like you tell me where you want to stay, we'll stay right there.
Yeah. So I'll start that up right away and just dive into it and try to catch some of the training while I can. And it's not, 90 degrees outside here in Arizona. So I'll just dive right into it. And really outside of that, I mean, between High Rocks and running, those are like the two main things this year. So if I can just stay on top of, being athletic in that way, I should be okay. So,
I love
but
it.
yeah.
Talk
Hopefully
to me.
top 3.
Yeah, top 3 this time. Yeah. She needs to podium one of these times just for her soul. You know?
Exactly. I'm just putting it out there. I gotta think about it.
So tell me a little bit about like what you eat and like what your diet looks like for other people, so that they kind of can put in their head like what you do
Yeah.
to maintain what you have, like your body, and like the amount of training you do is kind of wild.
Hmm.
But is it as much food as I think it is, or is it less, or is it more? Where are we at?
I probably someday should eat a little bit more. But I just get caught up with the work and then forget sometimes, so I'm loading at the end. But
Ay.
I would say, I just put all of my focus into making my meals at home. So if I just cook at home, I feel great. I feel like I'm getting all the nutrients that I need. I would say I probably eat out once a week, if that, and go and enjoy a good dinner. I feel like, a little bit of that is fine, especially if you've gotten your body to a point where it knows like your metabolism is dialed in and all of that.
Yeah.
But I make sure that I cook all my meals at home. I eat the same breakfast every single day. I eat a protein smoothie where I add different things to it. But I pack it full. Like it is full.
It is a ginormous,
It is full.
NutriBullet
It's not like
full of
you're just
stuff.
your basic smoothie. No, I pack this thing full. And then obviously put like my protein powders,
Any supplements or anything?
carbohydrates, mix, creatine, all the first form products that I use, I put in there. So I do that. And then, it only lasts for so long and keeping me full when you're training hard. But I would just say, stick to the basics of what are good for you. Eggs, cottage cheese, the different types of meats. I eat a lot of like pork, steak, what else do I eat? Chicken. I just rotate all of those, honestly. But I just make everything at home, and I do eat very large portions. I know my friends get
They're like,
just fun
Hannah,
of that.
you don't look like you can eat all that, and then
But-
it's gone and it goes somewhere.
yeah. But when you train hard, you definitely need to make sure that you're fueling appropriately, which I feel like is a work in progress. I'm by no means perfect at it, and every person is different. But I always just go back to the beginning of just make sure that you're cooking your meals at home. Just go to the grocery store, get things that grow out of the ground, don't have, shelf life, and you are going to feel full and you're going to feel good, and you're going to be able to wake up after running 20 miles one day and you're going to be able to go run another 10 the following day.
Yeah.
And I think, people just underestimate the ability to do that, but you can if you're fueling appropriately.
And if you're on top of it, like if you're not on top of it, you will not be able to run the next day.
No,
Like it's actually a thing.
You can't go
you'll
eat
notice.
like crap and then think the next day like your stomach's gonna be able to manage.
And our friend Lexi, my partner, she made us do a fast the last week, and I didn't realize how much of like energy loss that was going to be during the middle of my week. So we had High Rocks Club, and I sandwiched between it. I did the fast in the middle. And High Rocks Club 1 was awesome. High Rocks Club 2, I was dragging. And so I could tell, like, just being low on carbohydrate, low on water, like it's just, you don't retain water as well when you don't eat. You don't, it definitely affects your performance. And so that is, you got to eat enough, guys.
Yeah, I could tell. But I do think if you would have gone an extra day, you would have maybe seen that kickback of a little bit more energy. Because how many days did you guys go? 2?
We went 36 hours. So it was like a day and a half. I wanted to do more, but I didn't want to work out High Rocks.
You don't want to work out
like
with,
as intense workouts as we were doing while fasting, right? So I'm
That's
cool with
smart.
working out. Like you should work out while you fast, do a little walk, do a little zone 2 cardio, but you shouldn't be hitting HIIT workouts or doing something crazy. And that's why I decided against that.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's smart. If you're not doing that type of working out session, usually I feel like on my 3rd day of a fast, I get like the spark of energy.
You get this ketosis going, you feel clear and you feel amazing.
Very clear. So, more people should do that too. It's just fast for, one time a year.
Yeah, give it like once a year or by year, but I wouldn't do it like, every week.
No.
But some people like intermittent fasting, and that's a cool like 16-8 window. As long as you eat all your calories within the window, then you should be fine. Yeah. So like there are ways to do it every day, but that's more of a controlled eating rather than we're talking about like a
Yeah.
long-term fast.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So,
And so, all right, Hannah, thanks for, divulging all of like what you are and like what you do. We have 5 minutes left. So any
okay.
last things you want to talk about mindset wise, or like what keeps you going for the future?
Yeah, I think, what keeps you going, every person is different. And I know I keep saying that, every person's different in so many different ways when it comes to fueling, mindset, physicality, all of those things. But I think, you just have to go back to the basics. Just write down your goals, and they don't have to be well thought out. They don't have to have like long sentences, but you have to think about
Where you're going.
where you're going. Because if you're not even going to step up and take the first step if you don't solidify that. And if you feel like you don't know what that goal is, that's okay too. But I would just start to then think about like, well, why are you waking up the next day? It could be as small as that.
Like, what's your purpose?
Yeah, because everyone goes through periods where they're like, I don't even know what's going on, or I don't know what I want. You could be deep in depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. But you just have to decide, like, even if there's not even a goal that you have or that you want, you're obviously surrounded by people that have goals too, or maybe they're your family member or a friend, or you have, a close relationship with them. And I think you just need to start to think about who you're doing it for. It could be who you're doing it for if you don't have the goal. But I just always go back to that. I think my main thing is, I don't wake up every day and I want to do this stuff. I don't at all sometimes.
Yeah.
But I always think about, well, what is my long-term goal?
What's your why?
Yeah. Legacy, for sure. Yeah. I would always just say, everyone's why is different. Mine's definitely legacy. What legacy do I want to leave for my family? And, hopefully my kids one day, what do they want to see out of me, or what do they want to know about me from the past?
Like, I want to be respected by them.
Yes.
Because I did all I could do to be the best version of me, and like want that to instill in them.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of that like starts to come over time, or that stuff comes into your head and you start to think about your why. I'm so grateful. I grew up in a family of just such hard workers. So I feel like my parents have left like an everlasting legacy, an impact on my life. So I want to do the same, but it didn't always seem that way. Like, you wake up and you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to get through this day. I don't want to work out. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do all these different things that you have to do. But you have to realize then, who are you waking up and doing things for? And it's probably your loved ones. So just, I would say mindset, you just have to focus on the little things. It doesn't have to be anything extreme. Those extreme goals will come when you just start to do the little things. So I just always tell all my friends or anyone that I'm talking to that's in a rough period, I'm like, just think small right now of like, why do you wake up every day? It doesn't have to be, I want to be a millionaire, I want to do all these things. Like, you wake up because you love your parents, you love your nieces and nephews. Like, so make that your fuel.
Find your gratitudes, find your whys, and get yourself a good reason to get up in the morning, right? And find a way.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I love it. And before we go, we got to make sure that we knock out where are you at on social media? Where can we find you? And what's next?
I'm thinking of what my handle is. Yeah, I would say my main social media platforms I use is Instagram and TikTok. TikTok, I think it's just Hannah Howerter, I think is my TikTok name. And then on Instagram, it's Hannah_How. But yeah, I'd say that's the only two things I'm really using.
Go find her out there, guys. Sign up for an ultra marathon. Maybe you'll find us out there.
You'll see videos. You'll see videos
in the trauma with us. So
yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. And thanks for coming on, Hannah.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
I appreciate
love
it.
to get the background of your mindset. And guys, we will catch you guys next week on The Price for Paradise. My name's Woody, and this is Hannah. And aloha.
Thank you.
Boom. 53
That was
minutes.
good.
Killed it. Yeah.
That was good.
No, that was awesome.
Okay.